huge role here, to the point that the Course in Miracles captures it as you're the dreaming of the dreaming. I mean, that's way beyond being an object in a dream. You're the dreaming of it. You are the active condition. So, and I feel that description, the idea of dreaming, is the most. It's intimate to me. That feels right. Yeah. So we are the dreaming of the dream, and we forget that we're dreaming, which is impossible. But you can seem to forget it, which means it appears to be true to you, and that magic trick's produced in time. Yeah. So the dreaming can forget its dreaming in time by being identified as the dreamt, obviously. And so suddenly the dreamt, yeah, is seeing the dreaming as real because it wants it to imply it's real. So there's a deal there. Yeah, yeah. And so it's, I've learned over the years, we're waiting for some people, eh?
There's one person that's on the list, ticket list.
Oh, very important person, yes.
It's just one. I use this in the bathroom, so I'll just wait till he gets back.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. I'm off and running already. It's already.
I heard.
The horse is out of the barn. I'm very interested if others are interested, yeah. Because I'm not interested in it myself.
You made an interesting distinction about dreaming the dream versus the dreamer.
Yes. Well, I don't like the term dream because that sounds like a thing. So I would say dreaming the dreaming. I think everything's a verb. Yeah, it's not that I think that, that's how I sense it. So, but we're using language. So I think everything's verbing. I think the verbing is used to imply a noun. And then the noun is presupposed before the verbing, and then you're thinking you're doing a lot of shit you have nothing to do with, really, as the action figure. Yeah, I see it as a magic trick. Main ingredient is time. Time is the main ingredient.
Okay, yeah, we're going to start. Thanks everybody for coming out here to see Paul tonight. He's a man of no pretense, so I'll just let him take over. Do you want the chair moved over?
No, all right.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome, Paul.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And everyone's familiar with Zen Bitch Slap, yes? Yes. Huh? No? All right. Zen Bitch Slap is just a vehicle. It's the website, and the main vehicle now is YouTube, really. So if you go to Paul Hedderman, there's tons of YouTubes, and basically they're all about the same topic, really. And so if you're interested in anything that's said, there'll be reinforcement of it over and over again, because I believe this invitation can be repeated a lot. Yeah, and that's the whole intent about the website and the YouTubes. We're just putting out as much information as we can, and as soon as it leaves here, it's out of my jurisdiction. You're going to do what it, you're going to make it what it is for you. And but I really feel it has a strong potency of a spiritual subpoena. Yes, I really do. And it's different in a lot of ways because most people, well, I haven't gone to a satsang since 2000, but when I was going, what I'm attempting to emphasize, I felt was unemphasized, which is most people were talking about what we are, describing all we are as consciousness, all we are is whatever, a void or something, yes? And I don't see that as a skillful direction, because I believe the identification as what you're not will be saying it's the one hearing about what it is, yeah? So when what you're not claims to be the hearer of the description of what you are, it doesn't go well. Really, yeah? So this is different. This is about just sharing about what we're not, basically, with the hopes that what you are hears it, and then looks at the activities that imply what it's not and says, hey, I'm not that, yeah? And then suddenly, the horse is in front of the cart and things make sense, yes? Yeah, so this is the way you could put it in a slogan in a way. It's what you're not is looking for what you are. Yeah. So instead of starting at what you're not and looking for what you are, you see what you're not looking for what you are from what you're not. Yeah. Just a little switcheroo. Yeah. Because there's no way, if you try to keep talking to what you're not about what you are, all the way to try to arrive at what you are, which you are already there, the emphasis will be on what you're not. So basically, it's just another form of obsession with self. The noble urge to get out of self is really a larger in self than most things, yes? So the message is also not to you, nor is it from me. And so don't fucking pin it on me. I have nothing to do with it. I am more like a hose and the water comes through. You know, you can suck on the hose, you're not going to get quenched your thirst. You know, but if the water, yes, it's valid. It's got some value. Yeah. So the message isn't coming from me to you. I'm hoping that I know most of the defenses of the mental state. I've watched its little schematics. I've seen it. So I basically know its reach, and it's sort of like the Death Star. It shoots down most of the fucking fighters coming in. But there are some weaknesses in its defense. You can overwhelm the system, and one of them will get through. Sort of like spiritual sperm, you know. You're trying to put out a lot of information to sort of overwhelm the head so that something gets through the defense of what you're not, which is what you're taking yourself to be right now, probably. And it gets through and it hits the mother egg, you know? And then the mother egg conceives an idea, and the idea is, I'm not that, yeah? Yeah? And then the second idea, this has happened with me, is I can be free from it. And then what happened with me when this spiritual sperm connected to the mother egg, and I realized I was not that which was being implied all day by the narration and you and the world and everything like that, then suddenly the possibility of freedom became available from that, and then like a lightning bolt, it showed me a span of many years in a second that's what I've been trying to do most of my life. I've been trying to get out of me as me, yeah? Because I was trying to be free as that which I'd like to be free from. Yeah, because there was an act of being identified as what I was not, and I was trying to be free as what I'm not, when the freedom is from what you're not. And if the freedom is based on from what you're not, it's inherently available because you're not. There's nothing, if you can wait, and we'll have questions later. Hopefully not, but we will. There'll be a window of opportunity. So, and this is the message that hopefully I'm putting out, which is the mental state's claiming of activities to imply the one is quicker than any process you can do out here. I do not think you can use a process to get before that process. It takes the brain maybe a second or something to see itself as the doer of an action, yes? No matter what action it is, noble, terrible, it doesn't matter. It's going to claim to be the doer of it. Before you could outdo it by doing, it will claim to be the doer. Yeah, very fast. So it was very clear to me through observation that nothing in time is going to beat this little gunslinger. Yeah, but timelessness does, because timelessness, the gun's always out. It's never taking any time to draw it. It's out. So if you see what you're not, instead of looking from it, you'll see what you're not from a timeless point. It's not a point, but from a timeless space. You will be the prior, which there is no prior to. Yeah, that's the starting point of all of us. And so from there, you can see the activity that's being used to point to this imaginary you. It's pointing right at us, but we make the leap into a mental image. Yeah. So the mental state can only suggest, presuppose, imply, insinuate, infer. The mind itself jumps into the imagery. Yeah? So the identification as self is just a suggestion, and then the mind takes itself to be the doer, the thinker, the feeler, and it coagulates all that attribution to the body object. So now when you're sitting here and they're seeing, when you feel like it's you seeing, the you is framed as a body. You're pictured as a body, yes? Same thing with hearing, tasting, touching, smelling, thinking, feeling, doing, yeah? Actions. So when there's thinking, there's a sense of you're the thinker, and the thinker is framed or pictured as a body, yes? You definitely do not think, definitely do not hold the thinker as a thought, which it is. You hold it as the one who has all thoughts. Yes, same thing with feeler. The feeler is a feeling, yeah? But this feeling is exempted from the coming and going of all other feelings because it's held as the feeler. So the claiming of every feeling triggers this feeling of being the feeler, yeah? Just like the claiming of all the thoughts triggers this thought of being the thinker, yeah? And the claiming of all the actions triggers this feeling that you've been the actor in this whole life. It's always been you that's been doing all these actions, yes? You see it? So the actor is produced by the claiming of the action. The verb is used, yeah, to imply the noun. And it's working really well because as soon as it implies the noun and you fall for it, you think you're doing the verbing. You've caught it right there. You don't have to have 800,000 examples. It does the same thing all day. Verbing is happening. There's thinking. There's feeling. There's acting. Yeah? There's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. All this is going on. But those are all verbing, if you look at it. Yeah? There's not a seer. The seer is attributed from seeing. Yeah? The seeing is happening, and then the mental state, well, if they're seeing, there must be a seer. That's its fucking failed logic. Yeah? It cannot recognize and leave a verb alone. It always wants to come up with a noun. And then the noun, then suddenly, once you take yourself to be a noun, the verbs seem to be able to attack you. And the Course in Miracles has a beautiful diagnostic of it. It is for me anyway. It seems like a perfect sketch of everyone's day. And it goes like this, yeah? It says, I'm going to use the word dream because it says it, but I like dreaming. So you and I are the dreaming of the dream. All right, and here comes a condition. We forget that, yeah? We forget that we're the dreaming. And now I went, wait a minute. Well, how does that get triggered? Well, it seemed obvious that by being identified as the dreamt, it could forget that it's dreaming, yes? Yeah. The dreaming forgets that it's the dreaming by being identified as the dreamt. So suddenly in this condition, the dreaming identified as the dreamt, suddenly all the meaning that's being given to everything by the dreaming now has the ability to affect the dreaming as the dreamt. Yes? It's incredible. So now there's thoughts. Then you say, they're my thoughts. Then the thoughts own you. They ruin your day. One feeling can ruin your Hawaiian vacation. You played one hand, you get the return. So, to me, all right, so this claiming, it doesn't seem to have a static, antiseptic understanding doesn't work. You want the sense-feltness of it. It's represented by my in the English language, the feeling of my, yeah? That's the sense of self, the feeling of it. You can sense it, yeah? It's not a self, there isn't one, there's a sense of self. See, a sense is conjured up that implies a self. There's no self that's having that sense. The sense is used to imply the self. Get the horse in front of the cart, or you're going to be seeing the whole wrong way. Yeah? So the mind, thought, oh, so it's so simple. Look at thoughts. Thoughts, let's say you have 1,000 thoughts. Supposedly they say you may have 70,000 thoughts a day, whatever. You don't have them. I mean, they're noticed, yeah? And I would say only about a couple of thousand are noticed. They're just firing off, and then a few are selected because they are being used to support a narrative, a story that you're the doer, the thinker, the feeler. Yes? All right. So there's thoughts. Each thought weighs an ounce. Okay? So you're used to, like, maybe 5,000 thoughts. So you've been traveling with 5,000 ounces. You're used to it, you know? You don't even think about taking off the knapsack. You know, you're used to it. 5,000 ounces, everyone's carrying it like that. But now, add the word my to the thought, and now the thought's like a pound. Now you're carrying 5,000 fucking pounds. It's pretty damn heavy. And if it's heavy, what happens? It incites an agitation. You start seeking for relief, obviously. Yeah? Because there's irritable, restless, discontent. This sucks. Yeah? So now you start looking to get relief. Not from that, which is producing the weight, but for it. This is it. If you don't see it, you're going to be looking from it. If you don't see that there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing disguising the existence that keeps us on. Now the non-existent thing says, I'm the one who's existing, you know, the body. Have you ever seen someone you knew dead? Have you seen their body? I had a hit on that when I was 9, and I had an Uncle Fred that was always nice to me at relatives' party, give me $1 or something. And so he passed away at 9 years old. My mother took me to the wake. My mother said, you want to say goodbye to Uncle Fred? I wasn't that keen on it, you know, but he walked me up to the casket. I looked in, and I realized that ain't Uncle Fred. I mean, it was the body I was calling Uncle Fred, but there was something missing that I actually would think was more Uncle Fred than the freaking body. Exactly, yeah. So the body of Uncle Fred is the non-existing thing, yeah? And then there's the existence of it being mistaken for it. And so the presupposing of a non-existent thing that wants to get salvation for the non-existent thing makes a lot of sense if you're the non-existent thing, yeah? But you're not, yeah? So if there's a presupposing of a non-existent thing that wants to get salvation for the non-existent thing, if that's the case, your spiritual practices themselves, if this shoe fits, wear it, your spiritual practices themselves are reinforcing the non-existent thing. How can they destroy it? I put that shoe on and it fit. I saw the utter futility of trying to get out of self as self. The utter futility of attempting to use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. It just doesn't work, and nor will it work. Yeah? So this presupposing a non-existent thing, wanting to get salvation for the non-existent thing, and therefore if there's salvation for the non-existent thing, yeah, and it's actually it's from the non-existent thing, then it's inherently available because the non-existent thing doesn't exist. So the obscuring of salvation from you by the non-existent thing is not the non-existent thing. It's us blowing the smoke through the non-existing pipe and then blaming it on all this and that. So that's why the Course is so beautiful. It doesn't say you're in someone else's dream or you're the dreamt. It's saying you're the dreaming of this whole place. You and I give everything all the meaning it has. That's a pretty damn absolute statement. And I don't know what it implies to you, but I figure you're at the last house on the block. You know, if you're giving everything all the meaning it has, you must be playing a huge role here, because a lot of shit here isn't doing that. You know what I mean? This couch isn't doing it. The dog isn't doing it, yeah? We seem to be doing it, yes? So here, all right, so you see the claiming. So you recognize the thoughts are just thoughts, yes? They're thoughts. The difference traveling with thought and my thought is unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. So now, seeing that they're not yours, seeing that they're not yours, the impact is severely diminished because it's not the thought that produces the impact, it's being the thinker that produces the impact. Being the thinker injects all the meaning into the thoughts. And then the thoughts break on our shore and we think it came from fucking far away and we had nothing to do with it. But actually, it's a circle, yes? The mind gets fooled, takes itself to be the thinker, injects all the thoughts with a lot of meaning about me, my, I, and then we get whacked by them, and then we're like, what the hell? Why are they driving me crazy? They have no ability to drive you crazy unless the hell is yours. Yeah, I could sit next to you, and if you were flipping out, it's not contagious. Yeah, so you're having a thought in your head, and it's held as yours, and suddenly has the ability to ruin your night. Right? I see it as yours. It doesn't have any ability to ruin my night. But let's say I hold the same thought as mine. It has the ability to ruin my night. It's not the thought, obviously. It's the mind. So what is performing the act of mind? You know, yeah. We are reality. Yes? We are reality, lending reality to things by being identified as a thing. We are reality. Not as this, but as what's seen. Yeah? So we have a statement in recovery. It says, false evidence appears real. It's an acronym for fear, right? False evidence appears real. Basically what's happening all day. Yes? Your head is presenting false evidence, yeah, with the hopes that it will appear real to you because you give it the reality it has. So the false evidence fools the audience. The audience is reality. Hey, that's real. It's real. False evidence appears real, needs reality to appear real too. How else is it going to appear real? If something appeared real, it would have to be appearing real to what's real. It has to be lent. If it's false and suddenly it appears real, something has to lend it that appearance of real. I would say it's reality, which is this is our role. I would say that's the basis of the Course in Miracles, calling us the dreaming of the dreaming. Yes? We're giving everything all the meaning it has right now. So why is it? Is this helpful? I don't care. It's just nice to freaking know. Yeah? Because if it's true, like we say in recovery, you got to get to the exact nature of the wrongs. It's sort of like if I have a rash and I have I'm assuming it's fucking eczema. So no studying it. I just go in and buy like 3 quarts of eczema ointment and I put it on and nothing's happening, but I really believe it's eczema, so I keep pouring it on, and still nothing happens. And then maybe finally I go, fuck it, maybe I'm wrong. And then I buy some tins, and then one of them works, and then I get relief, and then I read what the tin was for. And it says psoriasis, so I had psoriasis. I was assuming it was freaking eczema. Yeah, I could have swore it was eczema, but it actually wasn't. So this is the whole point. If this information hits you and it triggers something, you're onto something, and allow it to spool out and entertain. And I don't mean think. Entertain is different. Entertain is like looking right now out here and just seeing what's happening. Yeah, there's so much information in nothing. Yeah, you're just sitting here. So the whole point of this message, liking it or not, is not describing what we are and trying to inspire you to get off of your asses, to start searching and seeking and practicing to purify yourself enough so that that which you are can find you as what you're not, vanquish the what you're not, and you'll be that authentic self. This isn't the direction. The direction is, I'm saying, if I'm sitting here and someone describes all I am is consciousness, what's hearing it is what you're not. You, as soon as there's hearing, you're cast as the hearer. Yeah? It doesn't matter what you're hearing. It could be vulgar, it could be incredibly sublime, it doesn't matter. Whatever is heard is used to imply the hearer, and the hearer is casted as a body. That neuters the message. So the first video we ever did was the old sheep and the lion. It's one of the oldest stories. I think it's a beautiful demonstration. So there's a lion mother and a lion cub. They're roaming around the savannah. They're freaking looking for some food. Something kills the mother, and now the cub's abandoned, orphaned. And the cub doesn't know what's going on. It's walking around aimlessly. And then it sees this herd of sheep, and it starts moving towards the sheep. Now the sheep knows it's a lion, so they're a little anxious. But then it just walks up to him, and it looks like he doesn't even know it's a lion. So they ingratiate him into the herd, and now the lion, aka sheep, is trying to chew cud, you know, it's not really liking the grass, but it just does it because he's looking around, everyone's doing it. And it's sitting there listening to people, who's going to be the next sweater next year, and gets its hair curled, and it's trying to ba, you know, ba. If it's looking at the sheep, it thinks it's looking at, you know, it really wants to eat it, but I'm going to mate with it. So then it has babies, and the babies look a little strange, but they just rationalize it away. And he becomes a great sheep elder, and it's just, he's like the tribe leader, and he's, you know, all the other sheep respect him. And then one day, this old big lion comes into the savannah, sees the herd of sheep, starts running after them, and it sees this lion, this younger lion, running, and it's thinking it's joining the hunt, and it realizes, wait a minute, it's running with the sheep. So it runs over to the lion, grabs it, the young lion rolls over and goes, "Oh, Mr. Lion, don't eat me, I'm just a humble sheep." Now the old lion's a little perplexed, just grabs it by the neck, brings it over to the water hole, sticks both their heads out, they see their reflections, bammo. The old lion goes roar, the young lion roars. It doesn't have to take 3 months of roaring lessons because it's a freaking lion. It was never a sheep. It could have gone on for 50 years, it still didn't make it a sheep. It could be in an hour, it still doesn't make you a sheep. It could be 5 seconds when you think you spaced out, still doesn't make you a sheep. Yeah? You are a lion. This is the dilemma about this talk. So you're a lion. Yeah? You're a lion. Now, if you're a lion, you would think that message would get through fast, right? You're already what you were talking about. You're a lion. Yeah, quick. Even if I got closer, you're a lion. Maybe it'd be faster. But it's amazing. There's something that obscures that message, you're a lion, because what hears it is sheep ears, yeah? The lion is in the act of identified as being a sheep. So when it hears, it likes the message, I'm a lion, I'm a lion, I'm a lion, still I'm a lion, and then it hits the lion's ear, that's taken to be a sheep, it's turned into, I can become like a lion. That's not the message. The message is not, you can become like a lion. It's you're a lion. So basically, instead of saying you're a lion 800 freaking times, now knowing that the sheep is going to claim to be the hearer of the message, let's turn and look at the sheep, yeah? And let's describe what it's like to be a sheep, what it's going to be like to be a sheep, how the sheep comes about to think like a sheep does, with the hopes that it would get through the sheep and hit the lion, and then the lion would just say, hey, I'm not that. It's learned enough to realize I'm not a sheep. It has an understanding now it's not a sheep. Yeah. It's studying it's not a sheep, and it finally realizes I've been trying to become like a lion as a lion. So when it reads the statement from Hoang Po, you can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha, it applies it to, you can't use a lion to seek a lion. Yeah? Why would Hoang Po say that to Jim, Mary, Sue if you were really Jim, Mary, Sue? Hoang Po would be sitting here right now seeing Jim, Mary, Sue, but recognizing them as the Buddha, and so it was trying to throw it over Jim, Mary, Sue's head to the Buddha, and he goes, you can't use yourself to find yourself. You can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. You can't use big mind to seek mind. You can't use light to seek light. You can try it for eons. Nothing's going to happen. That's a damn good spiritual shoe. If it fits, wear it. It's going to save you a lot of freaking time and trouble. Because what happened with me when it hit, it revealed once again, for a long time, I've been doing exactly just that. I've been using the Buddha to seek the Buddha. Yeah. I called it Paul, but I was in a mistaken identification. I am and will be and always was the Buddha, and so have you. Yeah? So basically, let's see what we're not, and in seeing what we're not, we'll find out what we are. Instead of trying to find what we are from what we're not, let's just see what we're not, and you'll find out what you are. And you will be what you're looking for. As St. Francis says, what's looking is what you're looking for. It doesn't say who's looking, what's looking, is what you're looking for. The seeker is the sought, yeah? The seeker, that's seemingly derived from the seeking, is actually the sought. When? Now. Where? Here. It didn't say, St. Francis didn't say, what's looking is what you're looking for after 50 pages of requirements are met for you to become what you're looking for. No, what's looking right now is what you're looking for. It doesn't have, it's a one sentence scripture. Those are the best kind. What's looking is what you're looking for. And suddenly now, the horse is in front of the cart. You're not looking for what can't be found. And you're not searching for what's always available at all times. Yeah? So basically, first of all, you're going to save tons of money on your spiritual budget, for sure. Because it's just not going to make any sense to try to get into the moment when you can't be out of the moment. It doesn't make any sense to read another book of how to get into the moment better when you've never left the moment. When you were a kid, did you think you were out of the moment when you were playing? Were you worried about playing next week? You didn't have any time yet in your head. Yeah? Did I take my mother in my room? How's my playing going, Ma? I think Wayne's having more fun than I... No, none of that was going on. I didn't care if my mother was fat or thin. I loved her. It had nothing to do with her specifications. Yes? I didn't want Gap clothes or think my room was too small. It was just basically, you were chilled out. You weren't looking to go on a retreat. You were just present because you hadn't entertained any insane idea, and all the insane ideas have never changed that basic presence. Yeah? We're all inherently awake. I don't care what you say or think. Look at consciousness in contact. Look at the seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. Does it demonstrate any thought or effort to see? Your eyes may go bad, but the seeing doesn't. Do you run out of seeing? Is it like a phone service? Like, I didn't pay the bill, like 7:05. Like, what? No, you know what I mean? The seeing it's always available because that's what it is. It's being conscious. There's no effort or thought. I don't understand why you would believe thought and effort would bring you to that which demonstrates no thought or effort. The seeing. Do you go to seeing lessons? Do you really? Having pictures of saints pass by, hearing chanting. No. If your eyes are open, you're going to see whatever appears there. There's no volition in it. And look at when people describe a feeling. They go, I didn't want to feel that. The feeling already was noted. Then the opinion, they didn't want to feel it, but it already happened, yes? Conscious contact is what's happening. And then there's a mental narrative about it's happening to you. You come after the fact. You're not before the fact. You come after the fact. That's why this is the robbery. That which comes after, which is the idea of you as being the doer, that which comes after is implied to be before. So now the noun that comes from the claiming of the verb, says it's the one doing all the verbing. That's the bondage of self. The bondage of self is doer, thinker, feeler, taster, toucher, seer, da-da-da. That's where the bondage is. The bondage isn't seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. That's used to infer the doer, the thinker, the feeler. That's where the bondage is. That's why Ramana used the word pre. It said presupposing. Pre means before. So the assuming, when it's assumed, is assumed to be before. So now you think you're the one that's assuming. Yes? You see it? If you see it, see, the way we're mostly conditioned, maybe you're different, but the way most of us are conditioned is we believe time is linear, yes? There was something we call the past, there's now, and we're inexorably moving to a future. Yes? The mental state doesn't play that. The mental state, that which comes after, is implied to be before. So we're living in a world from noun to verb when actually it's verb and only verbing. That's all there is. And then the mental state claims the verbing to imply the noun. Then the mental state has now put itself in the throne, and we live from the world of nouns, doing and da-da-da-da-da. It's totally ass backwards. And now we're trying to get into something we can't be out of, which is the moment, and we're trying to get out of something we can't be in, which is being a thing. That's why the outs never work, because you're trying to get out of an imaginary thing. There's no escape from an imaginary place. You will feel it when the horse is in front of the cart. It has a sense, tactile sense. Yeah? Like Zen, they would say, you will see blue is blue and red is red. That's what they're trying to imply. Things will freaking make sense. Not mentally, because that logic is, if there's a verb, there must be a noun. If it's not you, if it's not me, it's God. Something's done it. There's no way. We can't leave the verbing alone. Life is happening. The way we see it is life's happening to me. It's a total narration. It's, you get an interpretation and you give up living. It's slavery to me. It's complete slavery. And then your hope to be okay is always in the future or as a past memory. I will be okay. Like someone's fucked up, you come in. Hey, don't bother me. I will be okay. Let me suffer for a while, but I will be. What about an inherent okayness before all circumstances and situations? Can't we bring a leavening agent into this place instead of trying to produce one in here? As Jesus says, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. The of comes through us into here. It's not found in here as a product. We are the of. It's a perfect negation if you read that. Jesus doesn't start describing the of. He says you're in this world, so everyone can feel what it's like to be in a world. Well, there's things, there's time, there's actions, there's consequences, da-da-da. And then he goes, and you're not of it. It's a perfect negation. Negation is the clarity of presenting this. It's negation. It's not affirmation. It's not, oh, here's the bauble, and now start running for it. No, you are what you're looking for. And then you'll start looking for shit you can find, like a pair of pants or a latte or a good meal. You'll be successful quite a lot. But if you look for what can't be found, Jesus Christ, it's going to go on and on and on and on and on. But what's found all day for looking for what can't be found is you, all day. You know, the emphasis on the whole time you want to know God is on the knower of God, all the time. The selfing has no light of its own, it's reflection, yes? We have the shadow as being us, yeah? And the light, yeah? When we're the light, yeah? The light is what's cast the shadow. Without the light, yes? We're the light. We're starting from that, we're the shadow chasing light. We're the light. Yeah. So, yeah. It's a simple invitation. I've given up quite a lot. And if people have been here, you were here 4 or 5 years ago, nothing's changed. There isn't like, what's new in non-duality 2019? Nothing. There's nothing new. You don't add on to non-duality. There's not, oh, this is extreme radical non-duality. No, it's not. It's dog shit awareness non-duality. That's what it is. You are inherently awake right now. And I test it. Are you seeing with any effort? No. Are you hearing, feeling, tasting? No thing is in contact. You don't see seeing like this, do you? No thing, you want to call it consciousness? No thing, yes, is experiencing. No thing is in contact. Through this, not as this, through this. How do you think you're going to get the most subtlest freaking spiritual idea when you don't even get the fundamentals correct? When you're starting from what you're not, looking for the ultimate, all you're going to find is more of you. The you that you're not. Let the correction occur. If this spiritual subpoena fits, you'll be called to court, but not the mental court. You'll be called to the court of light, where all your freaking seeming transgressions will be annulled. You cannot screw this up. This is like, we are like that sky that allows everything to appear in it, yet is not affected by anything that appears in it. That's exactly what big mind is like. We are the sky. It could be 10 clouds, 1,000 clouds. None of them push the sky out of this picture, do they? When a plane flies through the sky, they don't call the tower, I ran into a big chunk of sky. No. Yeah? When it rains, the sky doesn't get wet. We do. Yeah? The sky is like mind. It allows everything to appear in it, yet it's not affected by any of the appearances. That is what we're like. Yeah? You want to go one way, you can see the truth. You don't, you'll be dreaming yourself out of the dream, and as you do, the dream will get happier. So you're not going to lose. Yeah? And if you believe you have to arrive at an event to wake up, I bet you, I guarantee you, if that happens, it's going to tell you it's always been the way. So did you actually arrive? If an happening occurs and you have a big bammo, it's going to inform you it's always been this way. So actually, did that happening occur? If the whole goal of the journey gets negated by the goal, I mean, oh, something happened to me. What was that? It's always happening. Well, then it mustn't have happened to you. Because it's always been happening as you. Oh, yeah. But it sure felt like it happened to me. Of course it did. That's the narration of here. Yeah? But if you hold it tight and you believe you achieved it, I bet you're going to feel like you can lose it. And a lot of people lose the awakening. And the only way they can explain it is I did or didn't do something. It's all on them. You're inherently awake. The head doesn't want to admit it, basically. And one of the ways it doesn't admit it is by trying to become awake. It's a perfect reinforcement that you're asleep if you're trying to become awake all day. Why not give it a shot? Just stop and see what happens. See if the fucking sky falls. It probably won't. Yeah, you'll feel just like you felt before the talk, during the talk, after the talk. That which you are doesn't vary or change or get bigger or smaller. It's always available at all times, right where you are, with no requirement necessary. Yeah, you've already showed up. You're here. We just can't recognize it because it's always available. If it came and went, we could recognize it, yeah? But because it's like the fish in the water, it probably entertains its dry quite a lot of the day. Yet it's completely immersed in water. That's sort of what it's like. That's why, and also this isn't an experience. It isn't. You can't experience this. You'd have to be something else to do it. It's not an experience. So you're gonna have to go through cold turkey if you're an experience junkie. You are. I've seen a lot of people come so super stoked about this message. Then when they realize they're going to get nothing, they're out. They rather just do ayahuasca and shit. Of course, you can write a nice blog on ayahuasca, you know. Just paint your face, take pictures in the jungle. This is just like going to 7-Eleven. It's not a big deal. You don't get belts or anything. There's not many parades set off from being inherently awake. But now you don't get gypped anymore. Yeah? You don't get gypped ever. You're always here. And being present and available, you're of service. Because what is being of service other than being present and available? And you, both of those requirements you already fulfilled. You're present and available, even though you may not think so. Therefore, you're of service.
So someone who's a seeker is in no better position than someone who is.
Well, there is no someone who's a seeker. There's seeking being claimed to imply the seeker. And then suddenly you think there's a someone who's a seeker doing the seeking. It's the seeking that implies the seeker. It's mental activity that implies the noun. Then it's like, there's a, I do talks in a lot of places. And so one guy's very familiar with it. And I use this word selfing, yeah? Selfing is sort of, it's basically a verb, which is the act of being identified as a self. So when people hear it, I have to correct it, make it very clear. It's not the verb, the act of being identified, and then the noun self. It's a whole verb, all right? So selfing. So this one guy knows me, says, all right, let's call selfing Pauling, yeah? And then there's Paul, and he goes, on a bad day, how much is Paul's Pauling? You know, is he 70%, 80% of the day? And he went on, and he says, all right, on a good day, how much is Paul Pauling? 10% of the time? And he went on and on and on. I said, no, you don't see it. It's the Pauling that implies the Paul. He was the perfect illustration, right? He was, after the fact, he was saying the Paul was doing the Pauling, when it's Pauling that is used to imply the Paul. You see? He had the horse behind the cart. Verbing is used to imply a noun. Like it or not, verbing is used to imply a noun. And then the mental state stakes the noun as the alpha and omega, and then most people live from the noun. Then they have pride about the verbing, or they have guilt and shame about the verbing, but they produce huge amount of minutiae about the verbing. Yeah? And the noun seems to be where it lands. Yeah? Because the noun is like stagnant water. That's where leaves land. That's where twigs are form. That's when all the shit that was moving starts to form, and it becomes like you can't even see the water anymore. There's so many leaves and everything. That's exactly what it's like. You want to be a noun? Be a noun. Because you're never going to be a noun. You're doing noun, and you're being had by noun. There's verbing and verbing alone. This is the, you may see it a different way. This is the only way I can see it, the only way I can share it. If you want to go to a non-duality meeting and then hold on to the subject-object thing, which is the essence of what's being negated in non-duality, is subject-object, then, yeah, maybe go to another meeting, yeah, which has the subject and object combined, because non-duality means not two, and the two they're talking about is basically subject-object, dualism. That's what non-duality is a negation of. Simple as that. Yeah? If you want to have non-duality being introduced and practiced by subject-object, that's not non-duality. Non-duality isn't a practice. It's a fact. If you agree or don't agree, it doesn't matter. But there's not two isn't going to make one, I'm telling you. It's a negation of the two. Yeah.
So is non-duality the only noun there is?
There is no noun. It's a negation. There's no thing called non-duality. It's just negating something. It's not affirming anything else. It's just saying not two. And what's the two it's not saying? We know what duality is, yes, no, high, low, male, female, not, dark, night, but the dualism of our own condition, because sometimes you're the thinker, yes, and sometimes you feel like the thought about. Don't you go at home sometimes at like 1 in the morning and you're being thought about as an object? So at that moment you're an object, and then the next day you're thinking about other people. In that cast, you're a subject. So sometimes you're the thinker, sometimes you're the thought about. There's no homogenization. It's in conflict all day. How are you going to herd that two to get to one? It's too big to fit in. So there's a negation of that two, saying there is no subject-object, yeah? There's subjecting and objectifying. There's those verbs, but there is no subject or object, yes? That's the negation of non-duality. So, what do you look at? You look at what you take yourself to be, and you'll find out you're not that. And in finding out you're not that, you'll find out what you are. Yeah? And when you find out what you are, the pursuit of what you are may slow down considerably, because you realize you are what you're looking for. It doesn't matter what you look like, you are what you're looking for. That's non-duality in my view. And that's the only thing I've shared for years. And it hasn't changed, and it probably won't change, because if you don't see the claiming and the taking yourself to be what you're not as basically your starting point, even with the topic of what you are, you're going to be looking from that effect. And you're going to be the sheep trying to become like a lion, all the while being a lion. And there'll be tons of people supporting you as the lion, identify the sheep to become like a lion. There'll be a lot of people to support that, because it's a very, very enriching practice, because you're going to be at it a long time. Because you I mean, a sheep cannot become much like a lion. I don't care how many years it practices. The sheep is going to override the lion qualities when push comes to shove. Maybe in a retreat you'll feel like a lion as a sheep, but when you get out in the world you'll feel like a sheep. So, yeah. So that's that. Any questions? Yes?
How do we get bamboozled into thinking the other way?
You don't.
Dualism.
It's just the dreaming, you know, and the dreaming has the possibility of ending, yeah? So the dreaming can lose interest in the dreamt, and there'll be more interest in the dreaming, yeah?
I mean, just in our upbringing, like,
Yeah.
why is this the first place that maybe not very first place, but one of the first places where I'm hearing about this?
Well, yes. Well, first of all, it's not popular. Tell you the truth, in the world of sheeps. The mental state doesn't want to be, it wants to become. It finds great interest in becoming shit, especially when it can't. It'll try to become a lot. But yeah, there's, I don't like the idea of why. I just think this is the dreaming until it isn't, you know?
Do you ever get frustrated?
I just got frustrated. I don't, but frustration happens. I've been on with Pace Plus Cellular an hour a day the last 3 days. And you know, the funny thing is, I'm in a pinch because I need GPS, and don't have any data because I don't know how to get the Doyles down. And of course I will, but it just adds a little intrigue into the, you know, the adventure of this week. So yeah, of course frustration. Yeah, but the frustration doesn't imply there's one who's frustrated. That's the good news. Yeah, it's just frustration. Tons of shit come and go. Yeah. This isn't about, you know, this is fun. You're more of an individual when you're not an individual. Yeah, I feel more than I ever felt all day. I feel thousands of different sensations. That thing you call Paul is like a shifting sand of feelings, and it's like been thousands of Pauls today. Tell you the truth, since 8 in the morning. Seriously, 1,000. Add some caffeine, more stuff happens. You know, it's sort of, and yet there's just this lazy assumption. This is me. This long-lasting, independent, separate thing. Come on. Yeah. So, but you've now heard it. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you want repetition, there's a lot of people sharing it, I'm sure. But if you want repetition, go to YouTube. There's tons of repetition on it. And I feel if you introduce the idea, some of them get through to the mother egg, and some new possibilities are hatched. And you'll know the tree by its fruits. It will produce, as an effect here, this will travel lighter. See? Not that everything will get great, but it will travel lighter with whatever life has in store for Paul as an action figure. And that's the truth it has. Yeah, and I mean on a stabilized level. No demand for maintenance or vigilance or anything like that. It's really the easiest off the no way, really. So, I wouldn't be coming here unless it was verified. To be an inviter, it's much better to invite people to enter processes, because then you can milk them in a way. I mean, they'll have levels and keep practicing, and then you'll upgrade it. This is just a simple invitation. I just put it out. You've been served the spiritual subpoena. See what you're called in, and if you want reinforcement, there's tons of it on the internet. And then I just take off and talk to someone else about it. Because I really wish I heard this, to tell you the truth, when I was younger. I would have.
It's out of a curiosity, not out of a judgment.
Yeah, curiosity, yeah. But I mean, I would have been nice. That's what we're doing in recovery. Recovery is my tribe, yeah. And so, I really believe the original addiction is the addiction of the mental state to the idea of being the doer, thinker, feeler. I do. And then I believe alcoholism affixes itself to that and amplifies it, yeah? So instead of self-centeredness, you're extremely self-centered, yeah? And if you have a little bit of jealousy in you, you'll be up on stalking charges, It amplifies a lot of what you would call the contracting elements, yes? But it has to have something to live off of, and I think it's the selfing, yeah, to tell you the truth. And I feel a lot of people can find relief from alcoholism, but the selfing will be just thriving. Yeah, it just keeps. It's it's like Dracula, it will go on every vampire hunt. fucking kill, because it never gets looked at. Yeah, because you just assume it's you. You just assume this is you. Yeah, but you didn't assume it when you were a baby. We've grown into this. This assumption wasn't from the moment you were born till now. There was huge gaps, and there's huge gaps all day. But see, the mental state fills in those gaps. When it arises, it says it's been arising for years. When it's sort of like here, the mental state's throwing chum, let's say, in the ocean of consciousness. Yeah. So there's chum. And some of the chum, the mental state arises, consciousness arises to check it out. When it bites it, the bait, it immediately feels like a fish. And then it feels like a historical fish. It says, I've been a fish. This is the 800th time I took the bait, and then I'm going to be a fish. This is happening every second. There's the arising of self. There is no self to sustain itself. There's an arising of self constantly. It's brought up, it's brought up, it's brought up, it's brought up, it's brought up. And then the gaps that are glaring when you're doing something you love, or, the gaps that are glaring, it just pastes over with the narrative. It's just, it's never been good, or it's always sucked, or whatever. Yeah? It's like some people, they're saying like they're depressed. There's one guy I heard of, I've been depressed every second of every day for like 7 days. So I see him at a party that night, and he's smiling. And I go over to him, I say, Tony, are you depressed right now? Oh, yes, I just saw you fucking smiling. Yeah? So the story was, I've been depressed all day. You're not depressed all fucking day. There's always openings, but they're not fucking acknowledged, because they go against the story. Yes? Yes.
So maybe maybe you answered this, but how do you accept the subpoena or respond to it if you're in the grip of alcoholism or mental disease?
Well, with alcoholism, I would give them a different message. I would tell them to go to a meeting and get commitments and fucking other things, yeah? It's sort of like levels confusion in the course. So let's say one level is your house is on fire, yes? And you're burning up. And then there's the absolute that there is no house and there is no fire. You're not going to tell someone who thinks their house is on fire and they're burning up, there's no house and no fire. You're going to tell them where the nearest pail of water is. So then when the fire's out, maybe you can go around and say, isn't it suspicious that you're at a lot of fires? And maybe have them see the fire starter, yes, yes. And then maybe at a certain point, then you start leading them to there. You don't get stuck. This is not dogmatic. You share on where everyone is, yeah? But you called this a non-duality meeting, and that's what you're going to get. If you came and saw me in AA, I wouldn't say this at all. I'd tell you, hey, let's go out and have some coffee and then talk about my experience of what it was like so that they could identify and maybe we could have some kind of contact, yes? Because I know what that parasite's like. I've been taken over by it, and therefore I can know that they've been taken over by it. So it's a whole different ball game, yeah? But this doesn't say recovery nor therapy. This was non-duality. So that's what you're going to get, is non-duality. And in non-duality, you don't want to be helpful. You want to leave people with their own devices so they see they're not their own devices. Yeah? You don't want to give them something. You want to give them nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So you're left with what you fucking got, and hopefully you'll see you're not that, and then that nothing will become everything. But look at how much something have you gotten already, and what does it total up to? Nothing. Let's start at nothing. Yeah? So non-duality. So if you came and saw me at my house and you were fucked up, I'm not going to fucking bring out a non-duality book and shit like that and make them a coffee and hang out with them and listen to them to a certain point. And I said, let's go to a meeting, because I know that's where the grace is. And then maybe he'll identify with the situation he's in, and maybe there's a possibility of it changing. But it's not up to me. Yeah? Yeah. So that's why. This is one meeting.
So society, I understand what you're saying about addiction. Society also has, well, some of us are labeled as bipolar, schizophrenic, or other mental illnesses. So I guess what I'm wondering is,
That's the action figure, remember.
But if some of us are identified with these action figure labels, what is it?
But see, there's not some of us that identify. There's an identification that implies there's some of us. Just get it correct, because if not, the noun will still be what's fucking supreme. Yes? There's the act of being identified with some of us. Yeah? The some of us is not in the act of being identified. The act of being identified is being used to imply the some of us. Yes? That's the message. Yes, and so the action figure has bipolar. Same thing with the action figure has alcoholism. So you have a way of life in alcoholism. As we say in the beginning of AA, you're gonna act yourself into right thinking. You're not gonna think yourself into right action. So it's an action program for that which thinks it's the actor. Yes? Yes. So you do 12 steps, you get commitments, you do service, and what happens is you submit yourself to be changed as the action figure, and the program will change the action figure. That has nothing to do with what you are. It has to do with this. Yes? Yes. So AA is about linear, it's about time, it's about action figure, it's about alcoholism. Yeah. You've got to know which medicine goes where.
The medicine is needed.
Yes, I know a lot of non-dual addicts and alcoholics that are going the non-dual way, and they're drunk. They're drunk non-dualists. Their action figure needs AA, maybe, but they think they can substitute it with something else, and they end up drunk. yeah, because they think somehow, how could this, if it isn't me, have something? Of course it can, yeah. The brain and the body has alcoholism, yeah, it's been affected. There's a physical craving, that's the body, and a mental obsession, that's from the brain, yeah. The problem resides in the mind, which is the brain, not the big mind, but this. The AA programming is correcting the action figure. Why and how? By taking the extreme amount of interest and attention given to it, yeah, and dispersing that so that the mental state will diminish, and then another possibility will be available. Yes, they call it spirit, but to me it's not spirit. There's no spiritual malady. The spirit is untouched. It's just as it's always been. There's a mental malady. Yeah, the mental malady gets corrected from the outside in, not from the inside out. And then you travel lighter, and maybe you can come into a non-duality meeting. Yeah, that's pretty damn cool. Because if you're out there shooting dope, you're not going to be coming here unless you can get the donations. Yeah, you're not going to come here to a non-duality meeting. Because you're in, and the thing is, you can't look at non-duality like a drug addict. If you want to get out of something and you try to use non-duality, it will not work. Non-duality will not be a fucking drug for you. It won't. Non-duality is nothing. You're much better to do skillful means if you want to change how you feel. This isn't about changing how to feel. It's seeing you're not the one that's feeling that way. That's all. The feelings are left just as they are. Actions, thoughts. It's just questioning, is there an actor, a thinker, a feeler? There isn't. And I'm believing most of the meaning that's being given to the feelings is coming from the idea of being the feeler. That's what I believe. I've seen it. It's not coming from the feeling. It's coming from the feeler put into the feeling. We're giving everything all the meaning it has. We're giving feelings meanings, and those meanings are biting us in our ass. Yes. So, this is just a humble observation. I don't care if you agree or disagree. I just wanted you to hear it. And it got through. I know that because you seem to be perplexed. That means it's working. Throw it over your head, and because that which you are, what you are, is very, very clear that this is correct. Because Ramana, Huang Po, very, very great masters have put a lot of emphasis on this little direction by calling it the problem, the greatest mystery. The greatest mystery is reality attempting to attain reality. Well, how would reality ever attempt to attain reality unless it took it to self to be something other than reality, obviously. Yes. Yeah.
So even the great masters are just action figures, like you say.
Of course.
Ramana,
Of course, but his no-thingness was very important. But yeah, a guy who I did a retreat with, where I was like a gunslinger in, he's a Western Dzogchen teacher, which is like non-duality in Tibetan Buddhism. And there was he sent me a Facebook thing, and he was talking about this famous Tibetan Lama who who's anyone in spirituality said was enlightened, is now fucking in dementia, the action figure. He's bubbling, and a lot of his followers are very perplexed because they were pinning on the enlightenment on him as the body. They thought him as the body was enlightened. Now him is senile and has dementia. And it's a little confusing because how could him who is enlightened be fucking senile? I would think enlightenment would give me an absolution from senility and dementia. It ain't it's the action figure. Enlightenment was moving through. It wasn't his or hers. It was just a verbing. Yeah? Now there's something else is verbing through the fucking action figure. People are upset. What? Same thing when supposedly Ramana yelled in pain because he had cancer. And people were like, how could he be, whatever, if he's yelling? The action figure had pain. It yells. What the fuck? Why are you trying to attribute? It's like All the movies now are like super people, you know? It's like we have our original super people, spiritual giants, super people. They didn't feel anything. They were in equanimity all the time. Fucking drive with one of your big fucking masters. They'll get pissed at traffic also. Or go to the bathroom after they go. They stink just like you do. This is like insane. You're pinning shit on people it's doing a disservice for everybody. Yeah? Seriously. Pick any one of them. I knew someone who hung out with Nisargadatta. Nisargadatta supposedly was quite anxious when he was being driven around. What? Nisargadatta was anxious about it? Yes, probably. Yeah. Because it wasn't Nisargadatta, obviously. Just like Nisargadatta's body liked to smoke. They're saying, why do you smoke? Hey, give me a bone. You know? Body likes nicotine. Why do you constantly pin no thing on a thing? This is a thing, really. I'm going to, just for a minute, let me vent a little bit. The action figure has a source code of self-will. It does. It can be walking into Starbucks going, mocha, 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 and then buy a decaf latte, you know? See, I have free will. To try to convince the body brain doesn't have free will is pointless. It is. It's fucking pointless. You have to realize, but it's only a body that does that. The body wants to get out of the body. Don't waste time. Your body, when there's a sense of individuality, it's based on free will. It's source code. And you can't go into the system as the system. It ain't working. Yeah? So, and do not expect this to be thoroughly convinced. It's subject objectified. It goes back and forth. I've seen people come in AA, they're the most sincere person, 10 minutes later they're loaded. It's just like, because once things talk, it's just looking like when you sign up for a retreat, yeah? You sign up for a retreat as a subject. You're thinking, oh, I'm going to go on a retreat, I'm going to transcend, it's going to help me go like chariot of gods. But then when you get there, you start looking at the retreat from the objective point of view, and you've been sitting, you know, you go in and there's just one cushion, and everyone has their little place, and it looks very beautiful. And then after 4 days, there's mountains of cushions. Everyone's just lifting that one cheek up. Jesus Christ! So now, they signed up for a retreat as the subject, but now they're experiencing it as the object. Oh, fuck! Yeah. If you have blood pressure and meditation's helpful, you do 20 minutes of it. If you're doing 13 hours of meditation, you're thinking you're going somewhere. You know, you're not doing it for fucking maintenance. You're doing it, you thinking you can get somewhere. And that's the spiritual addiction. And hopefully this will put it to rest. Yes? And if you're going to practice shit, why not tell the truth? It's for the brain and the body. The brain and the body isn't transcending anything. It isn't. Seriously. Yeah? Yeah.
You're very entertaining, and you're right. You're throwing concepts out that are really getting me thinking. One of the things I'm thinking of is that what you say is not non-duality, and that is the reality is the non-duality. Maybe it isn't. Maybe what the rest of the world thinks is reality, and we're the ones that are strange.
I think that both happen at the same time. The thing is, this isn't... I'm speaking about duality. That's all we speak about. We don't speak
But
much
maybe
about...
that's true. Maybe duality is the truth, and what we are seeking is nonsense. It's bullshit.
Well, then we're totally successful. And if this is the success, I'd see if I could return it. Maybe. I don't know. Just, yeah. All this meaning is about duality, with the hopes that you'll see you're not two, and then you'll find out, see, you are that which is being implied by non-duality. You are that already. You're not of subject-object, yeah? So, but
I'm not sure.
I know, all right, well, that's fine. So I know by trying to leave from two-ness to arrive at oneness does not work. It doesn't work. So what I want to do is inform the oneness about two-ness so it doesn't set off on a course to find itself from what it's not. And even if it plays out, it will play out much more loosely. And they'll find out, it's like to me, when I was younger, this was like CNN news flashes all the time. Now it's like Comedy Central. The same fucking shit's going on, but it's a huge skit. It's incredible. It's incredible. I came here, my data went out, which I have to take the GPS. Before the talk, I'm on Page Plus Cellular for the third day in a row, doing the same thing they've all made me do for it not to work. And then I'm saying, well, I've got to talk to a live audience, and when, you know, I mean, you couldn't write that script, you know. I once met a guy, talking to him, and we were talking about this message, and then the Talking Heads song came on. Is this your beautiful wife? Is this your beautiful house? It was perfectly choreographed, you know what I mean? It's just perfect. And that's what's happening quite a lot, man. You'll see the signs of what's going on, yeah? Oh, it's incredible. So I don't care if it's right or wrong. You know, I follow a cue of a knowledge before knowledge. I heard this message, it was like an unspoken yes. It's been reverberating ever since on its own accord. And to me, in time, it's appeared as the last answer, which is a damn good answer because it's taken away any need for any other answer. And there's nothing in this life that led me to this. Everything else led me to more extreme, amplified. This just cut that whole thing out. No more, no this, no radicalized, just dog shit awareness. You're inherently on right now. It's undeniable. Though you can spend a lot of time denying it, it's undeniable. What you take yourself to be comes after what you are. What's prior is before, what comes after is after. You can see what you're not.
But doesn't that imply duality, too? Like when you can see what you're not?
Of course it's a duality. That's the negation of it.
Oh, because when you see it, if the illusion...
When you see what you're not, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah? What's left is seeing.
Yeah.
And it's not even what's left, it's only been seen.
So they cancel each other out. They cancel.
Well, it doesn't cancel, it can't, the two gets canceled out, but the seeing is all there is. But it's not one, yeah? And it's not the combination of two. It's inherently all, yeah? So there is a sort of a canceling out, yes? But the thing is, the two-ness gets canceled out. And in fact, when it gets canceled out, it's seen as there's never been two-ness. So was there even a canceling out? There really wasn't, yeah? Yeah. So in time, you tell the story, there was a canceling out, but in timelessness, it never happened. Yes? So you have these both things going on. You have the time story, and then the timelessness that it just undercuts the story of time. Whatever story it is gets undercut by the inherent timelessness. Yeah.
How does the action figure recognize what you are if you're not familiar with it? So how does what you are not recognize what you are when
it doesn't. What you're not will never recognize what it is. Never.
Oh.
Don't waste any time trying to convince what it's not that it is what it is, or that it's not what it's not. It's pointless. Yeah, pointless. Pointless endeavor. You'll be eating your own tail. Yeah. Again, the attention gets attributed to what you're not. And then what that attention is used to hold you in ransom, somehow that has to be changed for it to be what it is. No. It's exactly as it is.
So there's a shift,
the emphasis changes.
Yeah.
Your attention and interest isn't on the appearance. It's now resting in non-appearance. Yeah? You have tons of attention and interest to make through a day of appearance. Easily. Most of it is just being absorbed on what you're not. The fixation of the mental state. You cannot believe how much you're thought about. If you have 5 kids, and you weigh out all the thought you've had for your 5 kids with the love of a mother, the thoughts about you are fucking so much unbelievable. You know, it's incredible how much reinforcing has to go on to keep the illusion seemingly going. Yes. See, what you're not has to keep appearing. It has a lot of reinforcement. That's why there's so many thoughts, and that's why there's past and future, because it has to be remembered, because it isn't so. What's so doesn't have to be remembered, but what isn't so has to be remembered to appear to be so. So it's always being remembered in the past, and it's remembered by worrying in the future. It's still a form of remembering. So it's sort of like, I was Paul, I will be Paul, therefore I am Paul. It doesn't start as I am Paul. It arrives there from I was and I will be. The I am is there, inherently on, but the I am Paul doesn't have an inherent onness. It's reflected. Past, future, yeah. Ding, ding, I was, I will be, therefore I am, basically. That's its logic. Yeah?
Artificial life support. Artificial life support.
But see, it's using us, not us, the light, to illuminate its play. And see, like, I want to go in, if we have 5 more minutes. There's a thing called the Course in Miracles, and then there's recovery. Now, in recovery, we have something called the higher power. And in the Course, they have something called the Holy Spirit. And so, to me, to boil it into an easy way, you've been locked in a failed system. Yeah, you've been relying on something that's failed, and you can watch it with thoughts. There's such a faith in thoughts, yeah, that those faith in thoughts produce anxiety. So because your thoughts are about last week and next year I'm going to be destitute, and because we're firm in faith that those thoughts are real, they produce an effect, really out of what's not happening. So and where do you feel the effect is now, right? This is the power that we are. We're the dreaming. So when we're dreaming of next year, and we're in faith in that, next year can produce an effect now. The only place where an effect can be felt now. But it's derived from being obsessed about next year. You see, it's insane. Labradors aren't fucking doing that, you know? They're not, you know what I mean? They're not pining, you know. I wish I caught that ball that 50th time. You know, they're fucking, yeah. The thought system's whole idea is for you to be thought about yesterday and tomorrow, so that it can feel like you're the thinker now. Yeah. So you're thought into being the thinker, so to speak. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like if there's an Ashley, in order for there to be an Ashley now, there has to be an Ashley yesterday and an Ashley.
Oh yeah, of course.
Right.
For
I
sure.
can't have an Ashley now. There can't be that self now without the past and the future orientation.
Of course, because it's projected. It doesn't have its own light. Yeah. What does a parasite do? A parasite doesn't have its own life. It takes the life of the host. That's how it lives. So in a way, the mental state is almost in a parasitical nature. It's jacked into the thought system, and it talks to us as us. Really, what we're calling me is totally infiltrated by a lot of.
Is it like moonlight? Moonlight?
I don't know what moonlight is.
Because.
Oh, moonlight. Oh, yeah. So let's say if the moon was self-centered, it would try to make everyone forget there was a sun, so that it could portray itself as the sun. So that's sort of like selfing. Yeah. It's reflecting the light, but it's playing the role of being the cause of the light. Yes. So, and it knows it's constantly in agitation or anxiety because it knows it can be caught at any moment. And it really can't believe it hasn't been till this moment. It's just like, how am I getting away with this? It's really totally surprised. Fuck, I pulled it off again.
So that's like the basis of all our insecurities, all human existence, the insecurity we feel about something or other constantly.
Fuck, yeah. But if you need therapy, get therapy. Yeah.
Why are you pointing at me?
You don't need therapy. No, if you need something because you are the one that's dreaming, you better do it. See, if I had requirements set for me to be okay, I'd be busy trying to get them fulfilled, but I don't have requirements now. I'm trying to do the best as the action figure to maintain the quality of life, you know, so my knees don't kill me and stuff like that, but that's not a full day job, it's simple maintenance. So, yeah. And it's like, I'm not trying to polish my Toyota into a Ferrari, just sort of keeping it on the road, you know. Then the rest of the day, I can be out to lunch because I'm not stealing cars or burning houses down. I don't need to be observed much, you know, I'm just grazing here and there. So nothing to write home about. So I'm actually pretty much unfettered in a lot of ways, the action figure. So mind doesn't have to pay much attention a lot. It can just float around. Because really, if you see mind, if it's resting in what it is, you would call that abidance in truth. If your attention and interest is resting in the conditional mind, it's agitation and anxiety. It's the same energy, it's what it's put in, yeah? Faith in the thought system produces anxiety. That faith put somewhere else produces an ease and comfort. It's the same energy, it's just what it's put into, yeah? So I'm not able to put it in to where I want to, so there's a maintenance of the failed system, and then, like it says in AA, I get placed in a position of neutrality. I don't arrive there, I'm placed there, yes? Yeah. The problem does not exist for me anymore, and it's happened with no thought or effort on my part. That's pretty cool, yes? And these have been intimate experiences I've had in recovery, so they're all harping or heralding that which is, you know? It's always being available at all times, right where we are.
Is that the difference between a lab and us?
What?
Is that the difference between a lab and us? A lab isn't trying to polish its Ferrari either.
Yeah, it's trying to piss on it. That's what it's doing. on my Ferrari. That's what it's doing. I don't know. I like labs.
So what I'm saying is, why as humans are we subject to this?
I have no idea. I have no idea. I don't even care, really.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have relief from it. You know?
What?
I'd like to have relief from it.
Yeah.
And I'd like it to be stabilized. I don't want it always to have to demand more attention and interest and work and effort and vigilance. I'm a slacker at heart. I am. I just think it should be a lot easier and softer. You know, and in my own observation, I really truly believe that which I am, as much as I can notice here, which is consciousness, doesn't seem to be displaying much effort or thought to be itself. So I think I could get myself there by thought and effort. It just didn't seem like, how could that work? So, yeah. So, yes?
So you speak of Course in Miracles a lot, and in recovery there's spiritual undertones to the steps. So I'm trying to figure out how to reconcile, not just in the Abrahamic traditions, but even like in Hinduism, like karma, like there's a you that presupposes that there's a you that's not doing the right work thing to get bad karma or good karma, or like heaven and hell where you're going to be judged because you did good or bad. How do I reconcile that conditioning of there's a me and it's doing good and bad and it's going to be judged?
I don't think an I will reconcile it. Just see you're not that I. Yeah, and maybe you'll lose interest in the importance of the topics. Yeah, the body brain here receives impressions, and the body brain then seeks through time to express. So some people in mind, conditional mind, some people came to the wet cement, put their hands on it, left an impression, and then the mind keeps regenerating the dreaming to express those impressions. Yeah, so that would be a karmic impression seeking expression. There's nothing to do with a person there whatsoever. There's just different Toyotas. Yeah, one Toyota got impressed, the other Toyota expresses it. Then another Toyota expresses it. But there's no fucking driver of the Toyotas. Yeah, So there can be karma without someone who has karma, of course. Because there's a receiving of impressions and then the seeking of expression. That's duality. Yeah? Duality would be impress, express. Yes? Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think, like how I'm hearing it, that, you're saying thought is like a parasitic thing that takes away from your ability to be in the experience of the present and the now, but is it?
No, I'm not saying that. Thought doesn't. The my of the thought does.
All right, 'cause
The idea of thinker.
That was my question.
Yeah.
That thought also doesn't necessarily have to be a problem.
No.
It's also.
It's the my. The my is what gives it the meaning. The my of the thought. Yeah? One day you have a thought, doesn't have much meaning because you seem to be in good condition. The next day, the same thought, if you have the flu, produces a lot of bleakness. Yeah? It's really based on you more than the thought. The thought just triggers. Yeah? It's a triggering. Yeah? Yeah. I see it as a vehicle. It gets injected with meaning, and then we hit it like with, we acknowledge it like a piñata, and then the shit comes out. Yeah, and then we think, fuck, who put the fucking piñata up there? But in fact, we stuffed the piñata, and then we forgot, and then we hit it, wow, I didn't get anything good out of the piñata. You know what I mean? I would just, see, I thought the Course in Miracles was a huge leap of saying we're the dreaming of the dreaming. Because a lot of people would hold the idea, I'm in a dream, and it's someone else's dream, it's God's dream, whatever. A powerless position, yes? But the Course is saying, hey, you're it. You're dreaming the dreaming. Yeah, that's a pretty big position. Yeah, yeah. So I would say there's power there, and there's a wielding of power all day without our awareness of it. We're making shit out of nothing. I mean, people would call that miracles in other times, yeah? We're making shit out of nothing. I can give myself a fucking ulcer by thinking of next year. Mm-hmm. That's power, right? I think, and I think that power is being directed in ignorance mostly, yes? Like, running after a tail thinking it's something else and biting it and just going on and on. I would like to see what a life would look like with that light directed. See, this is what happened with me. When I was out there using, I realized something really quickly. I started to drink, and as soon as I started to drink, I realized I had magnetic appeal to people in uniform. As soon as I started drinking, it was like a dog whistle went out. It was really, I swear to God, amazing. It was like, no one could hear it but police and fucking uniform. And then they'd be on me. I couldn't fucking believe it. And so every time I drank or used, I just put out this infant, and shit happened. Unfucking believable. Now, none of that's happened in 31 years because that light is being directed by something other than the mental state. Yes? And I'm not attracting authorities all freaking day and terrible cons. I got run over twice in one night by the same car. You couldn't try to do that if you planned to do it. You would have to, you couldn't convince someone, I'm not going to run you over you twice. I'll run over you once, but not twice. The same person backed up over me. And he didn't know what he hit, so he backed up over me. So, this thing is like a beacon that's putting out shit, and it's dangerous if it isn't put out with wisdom, So it wasn't any virtue that I had to enter recovery and stuff. It was pragmatism because I could not stay out of jail. I couldn't. If I was managing my own life, it led me to having to be managed by other people, like a lot. And I was in a lot of hospital beds, and I was just getting way fucking overboard, and I could see no end to it, and no human power could stop it. No, my mother wanted it to be stopped, couldn't do it. The police, the state wanted it to stop, it couldn't do it. Nothing could stop this fucking urge to get loaded until it was. March 21st, 1988, I got struck sober, and I've never had a strong feeling or a thought about drinking or doing drugs. That's all I had in my head most of the time before March 21st, 1988. So I've had a demonstration here of that which is not of here, changing that which seems to be here, that where no other human power could do it or bring it about. And that just blows my freaking mind, really, literally. I cannot believe something could take out that radioactive isotope, that urge to constantly escape, and took it out. And I don't need any more evidence. I've had enough evidence. And I have faith in mind, big mind. I have faith in it. This little action figure is thoroughly convinced it's not managerial quality. It is. And it doesn't come up every 7 years for debate. It's just a complete absolute in this life. And it's probably the best thing for it, because it stopped struggling, yes, and it's just being directed and led, and it's been adopted by principles, and those principles keep me from running off the road and hurting others, and you know, I'm like a free-range alcoholic now, just set free because I'm not doing harm to everyone, myself. So non-duality was just seeing it all before all that. Before all that, none of this ever happened. Before all that, there was none of those shenanigans ever occurred. And it isn't denial, it's negation. Negation isn't, denial's like, not that. Negation is not that, you know, it's not true. It's not like you're not arguing with it, you just fucking, because I've let everything land on me that I was trying to make unreal. And I let it be as real as it wanted to be, and it revealed that it's not real. And the reality it had was what I gave it by trying to make it unreal. My wanting to make all these feelings and things unreal made them as real can be. I didn't understand that I'm the dreaming of the dreaming. Yeah, but now I do. Yeah. So, and this power that is appearing here cannot be directed by this. No way. It's over its pay scale, yeah, for sure. So, yeah. Yep.
Do you think that there's some satisfaction that occurs now that was actually even in the addiction? You know, that there was like a form of negation that was there, but in a more problematic kind of thing?
Well, you know, you've never been on a 10-day retreat unless it's a 10-day cocaine retreat. If you've been up doing cocaine for 10 days, a lot's revealed. That's for sure. It probably won't make any effect then, but in hindsight, if you keep on living, it will become very valuable, because you'll see the selfing unleashed. You will see it fucking romping around. Yeah. And you can see it from head to toe, really. And if you don't die or go flip out, you can, those observations can become very valuable, because a lot's revealed. You don't know, the engine of selfing is relevance. It doesn't want to be irrelevant. So it gets relevance by the story that it can block you off from the spirit. It gets relevance that, you know, everything would be great if I wasn't here. It gets relevance, it gets tons of relevance, and its most basic fear here in this activity is irrelevance. To see that it has no potency drives it fucking crazy. You'll really see its face then. Yeah. So, you know, you're not that, I'm telling you. Whatever appears and says it's you, you're not that. You're the seeing of everything else, but that which is seen cannot be seen, cannot be named, cannot be heard, cannot be felt, but it's allowing all feeling, all hearing, all naming. And that's what you are. You're not an experience. You're not a goal to arrive at. You're not a work in progress. You're not needing to be purified. Those are all body-oriented stories. You are pristine, empty brilliance. And none of what's happened here has left a mark on it, tell you the truth. It's all going to be like it never happened. Like tonight when you go to bed. The Etch-a-Sketch is going to be shook up and all there will be is space. And you'll get up again and maybe Paul will appear and then you'll play Paul for the day. Until one day you don't wake up or you have that last breath and there you go. And then it'll be like it never happened, because it never did happen, really. And who's going to experience my death? Not Paul, but you. Yeah, in your narration there will be a Paul that died, but Paul, there won't be any Paul that died in that. Yeah, so yeah.
St. Paul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I've been trying to ask you a question for like the last half an hour. My mind has been answering it like on its own. So it's like I'm trying to get to you, but my head keeps answering it itself. But yeah, I watched your YouTube videos, probably like over 10 videos. So yeah, I kind of been following your work, and I like what you say and stuff like that. So I guess what I wanted to ask you was, do you feel like this is something that you have to work really hard for, or like you really want to you have to want it in order to get it, or is it something that when it's your time, it'll just hit you and that's it?
Well, I would lean towards the third one the most.
Yeah.
It's not your time, but it's time. Yeah. It's the best you can say is it's grace, really.
Yeah.
Because it's just a shift of emphasis. That's all it is. Instead of seeing something from here, you see that something from here. Yeah. You're not looking at that which you are, you're seeing the activity of what you're not. And then suddenly the emphasis is more in here. And it's like a corporation and 50.001% goes on to one side. It's got the majority vote, yeah? So now that which would always capsize you doesn't, yes? Because the shift of emphasis has occurred. And that's the basis of traveling lighter, really. So. But I don't know how it's going to seem to appear or what not. I just know it's always available at all times.
Yeah, it's weird because you're saying we're already that, and there's nothing else to do really.
But there's a lot to do as the action figure. Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time, I feel like there's this flower and it's like it's blooming, and I feel like I'm getting somewhere. But then from what you're saying, I came to this realization that there's, you're not really getting somewhere because you're already there. So it's like there's nothing else to do but just be, I guess.
But no, see, both of them can be true. So you're already there, and as an artistic endeavor, you're appearing to get deeper.
Deeper.
Yeah? This is artistry, really.
Yeah. It's like,
you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you... Let's look at time. Can you imagine if all the flowers were always out? You know? It's beautiful to watch a flower bud and then open up. There's beauty in time. Time can tease out incredible beauty. Yeah? You can watch orchids and they put on an incredible display. Yeah? But then they go dormant for a while. And then the next year, if you're lucky, they come back out. What a beautiful show. Now, is there a show? No, but there's a show. Yeah, and what better way to travel through all the shows is to realize there isn't one. It doesn't take away the glory of the show. You're actually more available to it. I mean, the spring down here, like up in New Jersey, it hasn't hit. The one that was in Philly, the spring was going off. It was unbelievable. And then in Barrington, in Massachusetts, there wasn't. And back where I am, it's happening in California. But Philadelphia was the most advanced. It was unbelievably gorgeous watching it all happen. That's like a slow lens appearing. That's all of time. Time is cool. Time can tease out beautiful shit. Yeah. Nothing right or wrong with it. It's what's giving meaning to time. Yeah. People don't feel good, and then their head says it's gonna last forever. Then they fucking kill themselves, or they fucking do something like shoot up or something, not because they feel bad, it's because they believe they're gonna feel bad forever. Their head plays with time to produce exquisite suffering. Just like that flower can tease out beauty, the mental state can tease out exquisite suffering with time. Yeah? I've seen people, I've seen them in recovery. I've seen what happens. When there's faith in the thought system leads them to fuck it. And when they hit fuck it, they go, well, fuck it, and they do almost anything. And then they're fucking back out again. And, you know, if they're lucky, you know, the last place they want to go back to is AA, but they inevitably have to because they fucking can't do anything else. So they drink to leave AA. I hate fucking AA, and the drinking leads them back to AA. It's just sick. It's sick. I pointed it out to a kid the other day. Hey, this is your 8th round of leaving AA, and here you are again in AA. It's not working, obviously. Maybe you should stay in AA. Then you'll never have to experience leaving AA or coming back. Yeah? Just stay. Try something new.
Is it the action figures that experience feelings?
Action figure, yes, of course. It's sentient. It feels a lot of shit. And when you're not it, you'll feel even more. The sense of self is a deadening agent. It mutes so much shit. It mutes sensations. Like after talks, food is exquisite. Everything, all my senses are heightened. The mental state's main activity is to mute everything. They keep everything under like a wet blanket. Yeah? So that you'll buy shit to feel better, yeah? Yeah.
Are you, you know, when you said, you know, gave the example of the corporate kind of thing, I really like that, and, you know, I took that as a notion that, you know, enlightenment, you know, is a shift in emphasis, but the other kind of, the action figure stuff, it's still there.
Yes.
It's just part of it, you know, but the emphasis has changed, but that part, it's still there, it hasn't changed, it's still kind of doing the same thing, but the enlightenment is, you know, the acceptance of that, but it's got the reign, you know?
Yes. Exactly. So, yeah. Hey, we gotta stop. I gotta drive somewhere. I hope.
Yeah.
All right, so do we pass a basket and everything? Anybody want any books? Non-linear book over there and an AA book over there. Recommend both of them.
Shall we draw you a map to Doylestown?
I may need one.
I'm driving.
Oh, you're gonna drive?
No,
Isn't it Dover?
No,
Dover, I mean. I'm going to Dover.
Yeah.
Dover. I think you can do. I think you can put a map in the phone while you have Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and it will come up
Yeah.
one. That's what I'm hoping for.
Also, if it doesn't, you can take a screenshot.
Yeah.
Worst comes to worst, you can do it with Wi-Fi and take a
Oh,
screenshot.
Rich?
No, I can print you out like directions.
Oh fuck.
One
Yeah.
Like in the day.
Yeah, like in the day. Yeah. I'm shooting for the phone. I can call them again. They're open till 9. What time is it now?
Past 9. It's just about 9.
Oh, blew that again too. All right, it's gonna work out. Anyway. I gotta get up there. I gotta go. I gotta leave at 10 to the city from there tomorrow.
Just start driving.
What?
Just start driving.
Yeah, no, I've done that before.
Just go north.
That hasn't worked well. I did that from the airport. Yeah, I got on the wrong road. Hey, all right, so we'll, that's that. Hey, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for your donations, and if you haven't donated, reconsider.
No, I got it.
Yes, it's lavish
Paul's lavish lifestyle, yeah. Paul's lavish lifestyle may have to buy a more than a $28 a month phone subscription. Maybe I'll get better service.
You can drop it.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Oh, yeah. I got a feeling I'll get you a trophy. Oh, you're welcome, bro. Good to see you. We're in it, bro. We're in it. All right. Nice to see you. Let me take this phone out here.
Yeah, let me stop that.
Yeah.